Bueno, bienvenidos de nuevo a otro meetup de Barcelona Bitcoin Only. Si queréis hacer donaciones, aquí tenéis el código QR, pero no os preocupéis que hoy no harán falta, porque hoy os traemos algo mucho más interesante que explicaré al final. Como siempre, estamos en Transforma Barcelona, hablaremos en un segundo de ello, porque primero hay que hablar de qué somos, ¿no? Creo que hay muchas caras aquí que ya he visto, ¿no? Familiares, pero vamos a repetir de nuevo. Aquí solo venimos a educar, a hacer networking, a pasárnoslo bien, pero para nada para hablar de precio o de trading o de cualquier cosa que no sea Bitcoin. O Bitcoin o Cypherpunk. Es, ¿no?, los dos filtros que tenemos. Si no es eso, por favor, podéis levantaros ahora y salir. Si queréis hablar de precio, este no es el lugar, ¿vale? ¿Alguien quiere levantarse? ¿No? ¿Nadie? ¿Todos bien? Perfecto, así me gusta. ¿Tú? Venga, Aleix, para afuera.
Pero quiero preguntar una cosa.
Dime.
¿Qué es el Cypherpunk?
El Cypherpunk. Uf, eso se puede explicar en 2 minutos y es básicamente gente que en los 90 y 80 vieron el futuro, es decir, lo que iba a pasar hoy, y se intentaron adelantar para proteger nuestros derechos. Y de ahí es donde sale Bitcoin y cosas como no la inscripción per se, pero ellos utilizaban la inscripción y la mejoraban con tal de defender nuestros derechos y nuestra privacidad. Esa es la versión súper corta, pero... Exacto, yo si no, después cualquiera de estos maravillosos señores y señoras te pueden responder con mucha más profundidad y explicarte todas las maravillas que hicieron. Perfecto. En tal caso, continuando, eso dicho, no solo nos encontramos aquí en la parte de abajo de un coworking a oscuras, cual shadowy supercoders, a veces también quedamos para tomar cervezas y pasárnoslo súper bien y hablar de todas las cosas que están pasando, como el hecho de que Craig Wright no es Satoshi Nakamoto y ha sido certificado por las Cortes. La próxima vez que tomemos cerveza nos reiremos y haremos un brindis a ese juez. Y a veces también quedamos en sitios mucho más guays que aquí, en la parte de arriba de Pier One o en otros locales, donde organizamos eventos aún más tochos con empresas que son amigas nuestras. Además, tenemos toda una comunidad de empresas, proyectos y software de gente de la propia comunidad, cosas como BitMaker o Kami Satoshi, que hoy por desgracia no puede estar con nosotros, pero normalmente le podéis encontrar en esa esquina con un montón de camisetas y de otro tipo de merchandising Bitcoin y que está creando el primer negocio Bitcoin only de principio a fin. O sea, desde que se crean las camisetas y el productor hasta que tú la compras, todo es con Bitcoin. Todo el mundo recibe Bitcoin y solo se utiliza Bitcoin. Después tenemos también proyectos como Prometea, Planeta B. Prometea es de libros, Planeta B es de nuestro querido Akakush para hacer consultoría, European Bitcoiners, 2140, donde podéis encontrar el resto de meetups de España, bueno, España y el mundo hispanohablante. También tenemos algunos meetups por Latinoamérica. También tenemos el proyecto de Scafo, Cobra en Bitcoin. Si tenéis alguna pregunta de cómo podemos hacer, de que un negocio, un amigo mío tiene una cafetería, quiere aceptar Bitcoin, cobraenbitcoin.org, que allá os pueden ayudar. También la Bitcoineta, la cuarta edición de la Bitcoineta, fue lanzada desde Barcelona y por un querido administrador de la Comunidad de Barcelona. Y bueno, también tenemos Minivolts, que tenemos hoy por aquí a Tufactor, el creador, ya la encontraréis por allá. Y como ya he dicho, si tenéis cualquier pregunta o cualquier proyecto que creéis que pueda añadir valor o que no sabéis, simplemente lo queréis traer, traédnoslo, hablad con nosotros y estaremos encantados de daros un poco de marketing gratis y de, además comunicaros y hacer un poco de networking con el resto de personas de la comunidad de Bitcoin local, nacional e internacional, si podemos ayudaros con eso. Más allá de eso, no solo hay pequeños proyectos, también hay negocios enteros que hoy en día también aceptan Bitcoin en Barcelona. Y lo ideal sería que los pudiéramos ir apoyando poco a poco, o, con suerte, más rápidamente, para que tenga sentido para ellos tener Bitcoin, aunque creo que, viendo cómo ha estado moviéndose el precio, ha tenido sentido y les ha valido mucho la pena. Gente tan maravillosa como los de Coyote D7, donde creo que van a pasar cosas en el futuro, manteneos atentos al Telegram, se vienen cosas con Coyote. Después, una carnicería solo Bitcoin, de la cual un colega, un admin de Barcelona, ya está haciendo beef jerky, es decir, que sería como cecina, por así decirlo en español. También tenemos un branch. Si queréis imprimir cualquier cosa, allá en Media Active se encargan de vosotros y podéis pagar en Bitcoin. claramente el coworking, el sitio en el que nos encontramos. Muchas gracias, Antonio. Un aplauso para Antonio, por favor. Uy, lo he saltado. A ver, vamos para atrás. Ahí. Que sin Antonio este meetup pues sería muy diferente y se lo agradecemos mucho por poder llamar esto la casa de Bitcoin Barcelona Only. Y bueno, aquí el Beef Jerky, claro está, que ¿no? Esto ya es un poco de economía circular, así que si queréis o tenéis cosas que podéis aportar, ahí tenemos al de Beef Jerky en la luz, en el spotlight. Así que si queréis comida, por cierto, yo el otro día le compré, bueno, el otro día, hacía unos meses le compré 1 kilo, está de rechupete, se acabó en un segundo. O sea, muy recomendado. Más allá, aquí tenéis nuestras redes, os lo voy a dejar, nada, 30 segundos, por si queréis hacer, no, queréis entrar en el Telegram, que es donde está toda la conversación, queréis entrar en el Meetup, o también tenemos Nostr, está un poco muerto, pero estamos activando, así que el importante os diría yo por ahora que es el Telegram, que es donde pasa toda la conversación.
Dices que está muerto Nostr, porque no ha arrancado o ha arrancado ya
No, nosotros los administradores somos todos voluntarios y nuestra cuenta de Nostr está muerta, en el sentido de que intentamos publicar, pero nunca tenemos tiempo y lo intentamos y a veces sí que vamos poniendo las cosas ahí. Creo que conseguimos meter todos los meetups, se anuncian por Nostr, eso asegurado, así que nadie se lo puede perder. Así que si utilizáis Nostr y solo Nostr, que sabemos que hay gente así y lo apoyamos mucho, os podéis enterar de todo por allá. ¿Sí? ¿Todo el mundo? Veo todavía teléfonos. Ok, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Como no, como decía antes, Transforma, el coworking en el que nos encontramos. Si estáis buscando un sitio donde trabajar o donde hostear vuestro proyecto, ¿no? Para buscar una casa a vuestro proyecto, tienen aquí espacios polivalentes donde podéis también hacer lo que sea, tienen hasta algo de hormigas. O sea, podéis hacer lo que queráis. O sea, es como vuestra segunda casa, como el salón de vuestra casa. Así que, además aceptan Bitcoin, lo cual, esto el salón de vuestra casa no lo acepta, así que es mucho mejor. Y podéis hablar con el maravilloso hombre detrás de la barra por si os apetece trabajar aquí. Continuando. También tenemos talleres, no solo hacemos meetups, y también tenemos talleres, y es que este lo está petando, es ya la 4ª vez que se hace, esta vez lo tenemos, voy a salir del medio, el 11 de mayo, aquí, en la sala de ya, la puerta de, ¿qué es eso? Azul, digamos, o si no, también en la parte transparente, en la pecera de atrás, son 35 € y este es la 4ª vez que lo hacemos porque lo peta muchísimo, siempre se acaban los tickets. Si tenéis cualquier pregunta sobre privacidad, tenemos a 2 administradores de Barcelona que se encargan de vosotros y que os explican todo, de la A a la Z. Cualquier pregunta, por difícil o fácil que sea. Y estarán encantados de teneros. A vosotros o a familiares. Digamos que tenéis a un familiar que os da palo contarle todo. Pues mira, toma, te pago la mitad, tú te pagas la otra mitad y ya os lo contarán estos 2. Que confío en ellos. Si queréis, podéis utilizar el código QR, también lo avisamos por el grupo de Telegram, y si no, creo que tenemos ya Wave por aquí, que después, si quiere, ya se presentará y dirá, hey, aquí está el taller, pero es bastante privado, como podéis entender. Entonces, ¿cuál es la agenda de hoy? La agenda de hoy es pues bastante distinta, porque tenemos, como veis, algo especial por allá. Primero vamos a hacer el meetup, la presentación de la aplicación de Vexel. Es una aplicación de P2P, ¿no? de hillo a hillo, como diríamos aquí en España, para hacer más... Pero se puede hacer más que comprar, es decir, se puede hacer un montón de cosas con ella. Y después, ¿cómo sabemos que va a ser un tema bastante controvertido por cómo ha sido creada la app? Ya desde el principio en el que le preguntas, la gente se pone en plan, ¿qué me estás contando? Pues tenemos una discusión abierta con método Fishbowl, que ahora os contaré cómo funciona, para que no quepa dudas de cómo funciona. Y durante todo el meetup, y al final claramente repartiremos los premios, hay una tómbola. Podéis ver todos los premios aquí, tenemos hard wallets, algunas de estas van por 100 €, ¿no? Tenemos 2 hard wallets, tenemos gorras de Vexel, tenemos beef jerky, esto de aquí, esto huela, esto es mejor que la cocaína colombiana. Quiero decir, que el pan con tomate. Tenemos también algunas revistas, de estas que son así bitcoiners, y pues bueno, que ahora os lo cuento en un segundo. Ah, sí, también hay un ticket de Expo para BTC Prague, que se hará la conferencia más grande de Europa, que se hará en junio, mitades de junio. Así que, como veis, os hemos traído aquí una buena tómbola, mejor que la de la escuela, que de cuando erais pequeños. Y vamos a explicar un poco, bueno, como decía, ahora tenemos esto, pero antes de darles el escenario a los de Vexel, a los cofundadores de Vexel, os voy a explicar un segundo cómo funciona el método Fishbowl para después, para que así acabe la presentación y a los 2 minutos nos podamos poner a discutir juntos qué nos parece esta idea. Básicamente, pondremos una serie de sillas aquí, 4 o 5, creo que van a ser 5, y hay pocas reglas, pero son importantes seguirlas. La primera es, una silla siempre tiene que estar libre, siempre, por ley de Dios, de Satoshi. La segunda es, el resto siempre tienen que estar ocupadas, es decir, no puedes simplemente llegar, decir lo que tienes que decir y después salir. No, te tienes que quedar hasta que otra persona venga y ocupa la otra silla, en cual momento tú podrás seguir corriendo. Después, solo se habla sentado en la silla, es decir, si estás sentado en el público no puedes decir nada. Si quieres aportar algo a la conversación, tienes que entrar al escenario y hablar con los que estén en el escenario o plantear tu pregunta, en cual caso, si alguien del escenario también quiere responderla, se puede levantar y ocupar la silla, ¿no? Todo el mundo puede sentarse, no discriminamos, como en Bitcoin ya sabéis que no discriminamos, pues en Barcelona Bitcoin Only tampoco, así que cualquier persona, sea el más profesional, el menos, que sepa hablar muy bien en público o que tenga miedo, todos estáis invitados a venir y no vais a morir, eso os lo aseguro. Y la última es respeto y humildad. O sea, intentemos mantenerlo un poco civil. Sé que a veces en el grupo de Telegram pues tiramos alguna pollita, pero aquí, por favor, en la vida real, mantengámonos civiles. Nada de motosierras. Entonces, la tómbola. Ahora, si queréis, podéis sacar vuestro wallet de Lightning. Tiene que ser de Lightning, que es la capa 2, ya te lo contarán. On-chain no, que si no con las fees se te va todo. Y básicamente, cuando escaneáis el código con la wallet de Lightning que tengáis, sea wallet o Satoshi, sea Phoenix, sea... Espera, salgo de en medio, que veo muchos móviles por allá. Entonces, os aparecerá un código aquí abajo. Este código es muy importante que os lo guardéis y os lo anotéis. Lo que recomiendo, si queréis comprar más de una vez, porque se puede hacer, hay gente que no, podéis escanear 4 o 5 veces y comprar 5 tickets, como en cualquier tómbola, pero entonces lo importante es que os guardéis, ¿no? Os abráis el bloc de notas de vuestro teléfono y os guardéis allá los códigos que os salen, porque después al final, ¿funciona el código?
No, a mí no me sale.
¿No está tirando? ¿Aquí que es más grande?
No, tengo la dirección de la URL, pero no, el código no sale.
¿Cómo? ¿El código no sale? ¿Seguro?
Sí, es Blue Wallet.
Ah, no, tienes que comprar.
Ah, vale, ok.
Claro, ostras, no te darán la tómbola de... Sí, sí, dame el código, pero no te pago. No, si te fijas, aquí yo ya había comprado, así que me dieron el código. Y puedes hacerlo tantas veces como quieras. Lo voy a dejar aquí un segundo. Y lo importante es que os apuntéis el código, porque después lo que vamos a hacer es, al final de la discusión, cogeremos 10 minutos y empezaremos a repartir... salgo de en medio. Y empezaremos a repartir los premios y se dirá el código y como no lo tengas delante, pues al siguiente, ¿eh? O sea, y como veis, tenemos algunos aquí que cuestan hasta 150 euros los premios, o sea que vale la pena pillarlos. Si también dudáis del valor de la tómbola, podéis levantaros un segundo y mirar qué hay ahí. Y como he dicho, podéis comprarlo tantas veces como queráis. Y con eso, y un bizcocho, vamos a darles paso a Vexel. Un fuerte aplauso para Vexel, por favor.
So thank you, amazing, Kenobi. I didn't understand any of that, but I do not speak Spanish. But does everyone here speak English fairly well? Yeah. Okay. So if you need if you want to talk or if you need some help translating, I have some friends that speak Spanish that can also help to explain some things. But hi, I'm Grafton. I am the community growth manager at Vexel. I worked for Trezor for a long time and discovered that Vexel is where my true passion lies because I got into Bitcoin a very long time ago, and the white paper really was something that I remember the first time reading it, and the very first sentence is what I always found to be the most interesting and most important, is that it's a peer-to-peer electronic cash without needing a trusted third party. So the more I worked at Trezor, the more I got involved in Bitcoin, entered Vexel. And Vexel was really interesting because it aims to make Bitcoin exactly that, peer-to-peer without KYC. So right now, there are a lot of solutions. So I'm sure you've seen FTX, where his former CEO is sitting now, still giving shitcoin advice even in prison. But right, we want to answer that question. So how many of you have orange pilled like a friend of yours, right? Okay, so maybe I go to a lot of conferences and I get into taxis and the taxi driver's like, yeah, there's a lot of Bitcoiners in town. I have Bitcoin, right? And we want to aim to answer that question. So the new thing, like, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago, it was, all right, Bitcoin is for the Lambos, right? Now it's study Bitcoin, learn about Bitcoin is what we tell people. So they spend the time, study it, and then they come back to you and they say, okay, I learned about it. How do I buy it, right? Well, depending on who you ask, you get a million different answers, right? Coinbase, here, sign up using my referral link and dox yourself, give your ID, your shoe size, your blood type, all of this stuff, but you'll get $10 in free Bitcoin. That's not a good solution. I would rather incentivize someone by helping them learn how to peer-to-peer the right way without KYC, without giving up their data. So we know shitcoin casinos, those are Binance, Coinbase, all of these, they're full of noise and distractions. And that's not how you want to introduce someone to Bitcoin, because when they say, okay, go to Coinbase, then they go, well, these prices are going up on these shitcoins. Maybe I should buy some of those. And the next thing you know, you have to explain why they got wrecked. Just buy Bitcoin, right? Learn about Bitcoin and understand it, and that's where you go. I like shitcoiners because shitcoiners eventually become Bitcoiners. So we have to educate them properly, and you can learn some things. But a lot of people only learn through total failure. That's the only way. So we think about how do we buy Bitcoin, and there are a lot of current solutions. There's centralized exchanges, there's decentralized exchanges. Are there a lot of ATMs in Spain?
Yes.
There are? Is it a good way to buy Bitcoin?
But no lightning.
No? No Lightning, and what else? Like really high fees probably as well?
Yeah,
That's what I get pretty much everywhere I go. Then you have like public groups, like on, Telegram, WhatsApp, these. So we'll look at some of these solutions. So centralized exchanges, they have long privacy policies and all this. This is actually from Coinbase. Your name, your address, your phone number, date of birth, your tax ID, your government, like basically everything about you, right? I don't feel comfortable getting that, and especially when you're onboarding someone for the first time. I remember I was a child of the internet, so I remember when people were afraid to put their credit card number into the internet. And now you want to tell someone, yeah, just give them all of this information and you can buy Bitcoin. Great. No. Then you look at ATMs. Again, high fees. They're becoming regulated. They're not as widespread. Like Germany, there are no ATMs. They don't have them. And then you have to see, like, okay, well, the pressure from the regulators means that ATMs work now, but eventually they won't. They don't scale. DEXs is a good one. Like I'm sure all of you are familiar with Bisq, right? These are decentralized exchanges, and these are, interesting, but they're complex. You're not going to tell your aunt or your uncle to go use Bisq, right? And plus, you need Bitcoin to participate in this system first. So how do you get Bitcoin? Well, that's the conversation you have to have. You look at Telegram groups, and these are like, people say, oh, I have good luck, but these do not scale, right? Because the second that you have 1,000 people in there, then you need a full-time moderator that's weeding out all of the bad actors. They're less private. You're in a big public channel where everyone can see your username, and you're open to spam, scams, all of these kinds of things. So they just don't scale. They might be good for your little small community. If you have a Bitcoin community, maybe you have a Telegram group and you guys talk in there, but as it grows, you need a solution. So what is an ideal solution? We look at that as, again, go back to the white paper, is Bitcoin is peer-to-peer. It needs to be something that is open source. It needs to scale. It needs to be privacy aware, like privacy needs to be at the forefront. Leave no digital footprint, and it needs to be convenient and accessible for everyone to participate in. So, what is Vexl? And I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions. Has anyone heard of Vexl before today? A couple people, yeah? Cool. So what is it? Well, Vexl is a mobile app that is very simple. And it lets you trade Bitcoin as it was intended without KYC and peer-to-peer. So we are fully open source. Right now we are in Google Play and iOS. If you are a Graphene user, yes, it is in Aurora. You can find these there as well. And we are fully nonprofit. In the beginning, we were a gift from the community to Satoshi Labs. Now we're, we always talk in Bitcoin about value for value. So we are supported mainly by people like you, donations. We do not see anything. We do not take any fees. We are fully nonprofit, zero monetization, and that means zero monetization. So go to the next one. So when you meet somebody and you say, okay, like I'm going to teach you how to buy Bitcoin, well, that's a process that maybe you have to sit down with them and really explain something to them because they have lots of questions. So what Vexl aims to do is make that process quite simple. We have this seamless onboarding that explains how the application works that you can go through. Then once you actually open the app and you get your network and your market there, you'll start to see offers. Vexl is privacy first, right? So what I Vexl, and I have a big dog. Actually, he's Ash the Vexl dog. We kind of joke. He's like our mascot. I don't have my face there, my name there, anything. I trade under my dog because when I meet someone, they go, how do I recognize you? I go, I'm the guy with the dog, and then I actually show a picture of my dog, and then I'm really easy to find outside of a pharmacy or something else, right? But you can open up chats. You can actually see your common friends. So if we look at the offer, I hope you could see it a little bit, but it's like, I'll be wearing a red hat. I'm ready to sell Bitcoin, and I can see the common friends I have in the connection with that person. And that is my web of trust. And how many of you are familiar with what a web of trust means? Yes? And you all have one, right? Every person in this room has a web of trust that you've spent your entire life building. Those are the people that you call every day, the people that you visit, the people that you see and communicate with. So that's your web of trust. So I don't have to know who this person is, but I share enough people in common so I can enter into a chat that's end-to-end encrypted that we can discuss the details of our trade. Once we discuss the details of our trade, we agree on how we're going to complete that trade. That all of that information is between you two. We do not see anything. We do not want to see anything. It's between you. You decide. We have even a feature in there now. It's like a trading checklist, so you can agree to everything before you meet the person, and that way your trade goes really smoothly. So why do you tell friends about Vexl? And that's like the most important thing, is because Vexl is purely word of mouth, right? Every marketplace in the beginning, if you're familiar, I'm American. I lived in Europe for a long time, but when I was in university, I basically bought everything for my apartment on Craigslist. Right? But Craigslist started somewhere. It had to grow. It had to say, oh, look on Craigslist, look on here, right? And that's where Vexl is because instead of incentivizing someone by giving them $10 worth of free Bitcoin in exchange for all their personal information, you're helping them understand that you shouldn't tell someone how much Bitcoin you have, and you should do that in a privacy-preserving way. And then the more you tell people, the larger your network grows, and the easier it becomes to buy Bitcoin peer-to-peer. And that's really the biggest incentive that you could have. We all want that. I talk to people from all over the world, and the first time they hear about Vexl, they go, okay, and then they start learning about it, and they go, I want this. This is what I want. And one person told me, yeah, I'm greedy. This is for me. I want this. So of course I'm going to tell people and grow that network because it makes it very, very easy to buy Bitcoin quickly without KYC. When you first download the app and install it, you will see how many people in your network. The best thing you can do is create an offer. If there's no one, if you don't see any offers there, create an offer. Say, I want to buy Bitcoin, right? Because the next person who joins, they see an offer there and they go, oh, cool, there's something there. And then you can actually see how big your reach is. You keep checking back and that reach, that number gets bigger and bigger and bigger the more people you tell. Basically, anyone, it's permissionless. Anyone can join. There is no KYC. There is no escrow. There is zero trust of a third party when it comes to your trades, right? It is free forever. We don't see anything. We have no way to collect fees from you. And it's private, pure peer-to-peer, and it's hidden from us, from service providers, from anyone, right? And we want to talk about the new approach to reputation. And that's where I get back onto the web of trust, something that you've spent your entire life building, right? We're Bitcoiners, so we communicate with each other on, I use Signal, but a lot of people use Telegram. I still don't know why people use Telegram so much. It's not end-to-end encrypted, and it's not private by default, but it seems to be the thing. But those are not the people that I trust. If I meet someone at a Bitcoin conference and they give me their Telegram, they always say like, oh, and be careful because the other 2 accounts are not me. So you already have that spammy, that scammy kind of atmosphere on these platforms, but your reputation is what I protect. My real world reputation is what matters to me. My online reputation, I can reinvent myself every year if I wanted to, or every 6 months. I'm sure we all have like burner accounts on Twitter or something that we have used or logged into to, talk shit to someone before. And because you don't want it to affect your real world reputation. But my mom, my local favorite pizza establishment that I visit over and over and over, my friends that I grew up with, these are people that I communicate with, and they are people that I trust. And that's where you get that web of trust. Someone does not actually have to be a user on Vexl to be in your web of trust. If I have my friend here, and he wants to buy Bitcoin, and I don't know him, but he knows him, then I'm connected through him. So it's one hop, friends and friends of friends. So if we share the same favorite pizza restaurant that's in my neighborhood, that every 2 weeks I book a reservation so I have their number saved in my phone because I like visiting there with my friends and it's hard to get a table. I have that number and maybe he does too. I can see that maybe we don't have any other connections, but we both like this pizza restaurant that's 2 doors down from me. So I say, hey, we don't share a lot of connections, but maybe this would be okay. Why don't we actually meet at the restaurant and do a trade and grab a slice of pizza together? But also, going back to answering that question, how do I buy Bitcoin? If you're wanting to introduce someone for the first time, maybe they want to continue to learn more. And in Czech Republic, where I live, we've seen this community grow out of Vexl. People saying, hey, I want to buy Bitcoin, but I could also use some information about maybe which kind of hardware wallet I want to use, or what's the best way to protect myself. And you can get that community aspect of it as well. You guys have a lovely community here. I've traveled, I was in Italy in December. They also have amazing Satoshi Spritz meetups, and they want more people to come, right? So you might meet someone in a trade and say, oh, by the way, next Wednesday, we have a Bitcoin meetup. You should come along sometime. And your community gets bigger and your network gets bigger. We want people to talk about Bitcoin. We want people to learn about Bitcoin, and we want people to use Bitcoin. The best way to do that is, well, you have to tell people. You have to invite them. So if you meet someone in a trade and they don't know about your Bitcoin meetup, you can invite them. And then you have a new friend as well. So Vexl in practice. So again, as I said, that when you are entering into the chat and you agree on your terms, right? I don't know anything about the person. That's why I told you that I trade under my dog, because eventually you do get to the point where you have to say, all right, we're going to meet. How do I recognize you? Well, that's where we say send identity reveal request. That's not who you are. I don't need your name, your date of birth. I just want to know you're the guy with the hat and the green shirt. So that's the picture that I would use, or I use my dog's picture. That is up to you. Privacy is the right to selectively reveal yourself. If you want to put your face and your name there, go for it. That's up to you. It's completely private from us. We have no information about you, your accounts, anything. So what we have also seen is that Vexl has turned into this kind of circular economy that's really cool. Is that if I'm a farmer and I'm a Bitcoiner, but I want to earn Bitcoin for my chicken eggs, or if I have honey and I have bees and I want to sell honey, well, I can actually see that people are selling Medovina, which is a homemade wine that's made from honey, for Bitcoin. People are offering English lessons and Japanese lessons and Czech lessons. People are selling iPads. People are selling Monero as well there. So we've seen that really people have taken it because humans are humans. What do? We take a tool and we adapt it to use for us. We created Vexl for buying and selling Bitcoin, making it peer-to-peer, but people said, I can actually earn Bitcoin by selling things on here as well. I'm going to do it. We are working on new features that will actually have like a marketplace, an ability that lists goods and services there that you would like to sell. But we've also seen that like developers, people who want to work in Bitcoin, they post an ad there and say, I do back-end development. I would love to earn some money in Bitcoin. And we've had successful stories of people saying, I got a job in Bitcoin because I created an offer on Vexel and now I work in it. Because of that web of trust, again, you can say, you know, when you apply for a job, sometimes they ask for references, right? Has anyone ever given references for a job interview before? Right? You list those people because those are the people that you trust that are going to give you a good recommendation. You wouldn't recommend some random guy on the internet, right? So we've seen that it's growing to be so much more than just that. I'll tell you a little bit about how we got started. We launched at ChainCamp, and does anyone speak German in the room by any chance? Yeah? So have you ever heard of the word like to Vexel? Vexel. My German's terrible, but it actually comes from a German word, which is to change money. Vexel, yeah, okay. So in Czech Republic, during communism, dark days, right? There were these guys that had mullets in a very funny style, and they would stand on the street, and what they would do is they would allow the people who weren't approved by the government to shop in certain stores, they would give these people the freedom to transact by exchanging money for vouchers, that those people could go in and buy a pair of blue jeans because that was what they wanted. They didn't want to have permission from the government to be able to participate in their economy. And that's where Vexlox comes. So we dressed up as them to really kind of hit home with the Czech population where we launched. 5 days later, we had 4,900 users and 2.1 million connections and offers all over Vexel. So it got a really good jump start. And to right now in Czech Republic, if I want to buy Bitcoin peer-to-peer without KYC today, I can do it in a matter of minutes. I can agree on that trade. I can meet the guy. And we talk about this as like face-to-face is truly the best way to do it. I give you cash, you give me Bitcoin. If we look at something like a decentralized exchange like Bisq or any of these others, they use escrow, they use third parties. So has anyone ever used like Bisq in the room? Yeah, okay. So right, when you complete your trade, what do? You have to send money via wire transfer or SEPA, and your name, your full name appears in that person's bank account. So if I'm trading, like right there, that's a version of KYC Lite, we might say. But if I trade with you and you're wanted for a crime in Singapore, then I put my bank account at risk for being shut down. And I've heard this. I've traveled all over. I've heard people using these services who said, oh, it's great until it's not. If I'm selling Bitcoin often on there and I have these deposits coming in my bank account from all over the world from different people, it raises red flags. And that's a no-go for me. That's why these systems, they don't scale and they don't work. If you're someone like me who sometimes earns money in Bitcoin, I still have to pay rent. I have to sell Bitcoin. So if I do that every single month and I have these random people appearing in my bank account, well, eventually my banker in his suit is going to start going, hey, you need to explain this. And that's a whole nother can of worms that we can open. So peer-to-peer, and what does that mean? So peer-to-peer platforms like Vexel enable users to maintain that privacy while trading. We want to simplify that and make it as easy as possible so that you don't have to give someone a 2-hour lesson on how to use these services to participate in. So we use the example of Alice. She uses Vexel to trade Bitcoin with another user, bypassing the need for KYC. And this is, there's a really good book. I know Leah, he's read this book. It's called A Lodging of Wayfaring Men.
Not only have I read it, but it's also been a great inspiration not only for like development of Vexel, but also like operations of Vexel generally. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the work of Paul Rosenberg, but yeah, that's the guy who was.
Yeah, if you haven't read it, highly recommend. It was written in 2007, so before Bitcoin. Read it if you get it. A Lodging of Wayfaring Men. But he talks about the marketplace that they created, and he says that it's up to our users to report their income, to report this. It's not a marketplace's job to enforce those rules. It's not my job to force you to participate in a system that you don't want to. My job is to help create an app that preserves your privacy, that allows you to do what you want to do, that freedom to transact. Because without that, you really do not have any other rights. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel. As I want to talk again about that web of trust. Technology and fancy stuff isn't always necessary to create that fancy platform. We look at something like Nostr, and people always ask me, so like, when are you going to use Nostr? And I go, well, when Nostr maybe has a web of trust system like I have with my phone number, the things that I have been my whole life connected to. You don't have to make this difficult, because your brother, your sister, your aunt, your uncle, these people, they aren't crazy Bitcoiners or Edward Snowden levels of privacy, but they can achieve that using a simple app like Vexel if they want to. So I kind of, before I finish up and wrap up and I have questions and everything, I want to kind of tell you about my friend, Gary. And I have been in Prague a long time, and I play video games with my friend Gary. And at night, we talk like in headsets. And I work in Bitcoin, so of course, over the years, he's had to listen to me tell him constantly to buy Bitcoin. But every time, Gary's American, who lives in Czech Republic, every time he tried to sign up for some exchange or anything like that, he was rejected based on his nationality. So he could not participate in that system. He would go to an ATM in Prague, and the fees would be 10 or 12%. And he goes, dude, it's not worth it. So when we actually created Vexel, I was talking to him, and again, going down the Bitcoin path, and he says, dude, I told you I can't do this. And I said, well, I want you to try something for me. We have this app called Vexel. You know me, so you'll automatically have a good web of trust. So I incentivized him, because he's a father, and he has a newborn and a 7-year-old son. And his 7-year-old son also likes video games. In 2017, I purchased a Nintendo Switch with Bitcoin, which was regrettable now, but I wanted to spend some Bitcoin. And so I bought this, but it sat on my shelf collecting dust and I never used it. So Gary said, hey, can I buy that from you? And I said, yes, but I will only take Bitcoin for it. And he says, dude, I've been down this road. I told you. He goes, yes, but I want you to create an offer, and I want you to say, my friend will sell me his Nintendo Switch, but he'll only take Bitcoin. Help. 2 hours later, I had Bitcoin Lightning. Because someone responded and said, I'm ready to help, I'll sell you the Bitcoin. They met, cash, Bitcoin. He says, I have it. Got it to me. Gary is now a proud owner of a Nintendo Switch that also probably collects dust on his shelf, because he mainly plays PlayStation with me. So there is that struggle there. If you are an expat like me living in a country that's not your home, they want you to participate in that system, not the one that you have set up. So there is that. Yeah, there's the offer. I'm buying my friend's Nintendo Switch, but he'll only accept Bitcoin. Lend me a hand. It became really straightforward with him, and the guy that he met actually is now his dealer, right? He met the guy. He doesn't have to use Vexel every time he wants to buy Bitcoin, because he just sends that guy a message and says, hey, it's been 2 weeks, can I buy Bitcoin again? And he says, sure, let's meet. Boom, boom, boom. You do not have to use Vexel every time, but you are very likely to meet someone like me who is frequently selling Bitcoin. If you want to participate in Tombola tonight and you don't have Bitcoin in your Lightning wallet, I'm always selling a bit of Bitcoin. So talk to me. I will gladly do a peer-to-peer trade with you so that you can participate. But that straightforward process makes it easy for you to kind of onboard someone, or if you have a friend who maybe has a side hobby. Maybe he does woodworking, or maybe he is a farmer that wants to earn money in Bitcoin. You can tell him about Vexel, and he can sell his honey on there, and he can earn Bitcoin without actually having to he can get peer-to-peer honey, right? That's the way that we want it to be. This is, again, I have the mullets, guys. Were mullets ever popular in Spain? Yes? They still are? Yeah, I recently was going there, and then I went to the barber like a week ago because I was coming here and I was like, I want it cleaned a little bit shorter, and she used a machine and cut it. So now I have really short hair and wearing a hat, but I was almost to a mullet. But yeah, you can scan this QR code to download the app, and this will, if you have an iOS device, we are in test flight. So you will need to install through TestFlight, but if you're on the Android, you can absolutely download it through the Play Store. Once I change this and you want to go, you can go to Vexel. We always say is how do you buy Bitcoin? You Vexel it. So our domain, our URL is vexel.it. And if you want to download it.
No relation with Italy.
No relation with Italy. I get this all the time. But no, that's how do you buy Bitcoin? You Vexel it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then I have one more little gift for you at the end, which is I will actually share my contact number so that you can scan it and import me, which will open up your web of trust so you can actually start seeing offers. You won't be able to trust those people like you will your true web of trust. You will see that it's me. So you have to take that with, you can ask me on Twitter or Nullster. You can find me and be like, hey, I want to meet with this guy, and I'm going to help you out, help you buy Bitcoin. So this is my contact number if you want to scan it and import it into your phone, and I'll leave this up here for a bit. You can ask me anything. I'm on Twitter for a little bit longer, I think. I'll be on Twitter for a little bit longer, but I've really gone hard on Nullster. I'm pretty easy to find. I think I'm the only Grafton in the world, maybe. I've still never met another one, and I've never met someone from Mississippi abroad either. So I'm weird, and yeah. But this is my number, so please put Grafton Vexel there because it will really show you that web of trust that is me, that I'm connected to. But if you have any questions, we can absolutely talk about them. We can talk about them in the fishbowl as well. I think that Leah will join and we can talk. Leah is our wonderful CEO and the power behind it. But yes, please download Vexel and start talking about it because this is the way. We are cypherpunks. I know that you asked maybe a question at the beginning is what that is, but we want to make this the way to buy and sell Bitcoin privately and without KYC the way it should be. So yeah, cool. But yeah, that's me. If you have any questions, we will talk in just a few minutes on the fishbowl. But yeah, cool. Thank you guys for your time. Yeah. Cool.
Perfect. All right.
And if you're still down in the app and you don't have enough time to import me, you can find me. I'm not going anywhere for a while. So you can find me and we can actually trade contacts back and forth using Vexel, and we can start to build your network there. Yeah. But in the meantime, Tombola is coming up, and yeah. Tombola, I will talk about. This is also something that I talked to Kanoe about is what Vexel and what we aim to do is we want to support communities. We want to support people like you and help you have that, ability to grow. And growing your network and growing your community is everything because the more people you are, the bigger spaces you need. And this is a wonderful space, but if it comes to 200 people, you might have to get a bigger boat to lose your recovery keys on. But this Tombola, everything that you guys go through here will go to support this community and this meetup. So I brought some things from Prague. I brought some Trezors, the new Trezor Safe 3 as well, that will be offered as prizes. So yeah, if you have any questions, we'll talk in just a few minutes. Get your tickets and yeah, let me know. Thank you guys.
Thank you.